104.5 The Team, your home for New York sports. We're joined by Richard Hunter right now. He is our mixed martial arts insider. He is one half of the Phone Booth Fight podcast with Frank Mir, and he is the guy we want to know. I got to ask you, is there any way Conor McGregor beats Floyd Mayweather in a boxing match?
I don't think so, guys.
Oh.
Neither does my co-host Frank Mir. We were talking about this on today's episode, and the thing is that you got to look at it like this. Floyd Mayweather at 49-0 is the greatest boxer of our generation and arguably one of the best of all time. Conor McGregor, who is the UFC lightweight champion, has no professional boxing experience. He trains boxing, but only as one component of a collection of mixed martial arts that he has to prepare for fights inside the UFC octagon. Conor McGregor has knockout power for sure, but the problem is he's going to have to catch Floyd in order to knock him out. Footwork is different in boxing because you're not having to defend against takedowns. It's a more narrowly focused discipline, and for that reason, I just don't see how somebody in Floyd Mayweather, who's been doing this since they were 2 years old, is going to lose, at least on paper, to someone who's trying it professionally for the first time.
What are the positives, if any, for the UFC as a company and for mixed martial arts in general?
Well, there's going to be a lot of money to be made here. I was on a conference call yesterday with Dana White, UFC president, Leonard Ellerbe, who is Floyd Mayweather's Mayweather Promotions CEO, and then also Stephen Epstein from Showtime. They're going to be the co-promoters on this along with Mayweather. And they have all signed a confidentiality agreement, so we're not going to hear the numbers directly from them as far as at least what everybody's getting paid. But reports that I hear from people that I trust say that Conor alone, and keep in mind he's going to be the lesser paid of the two principals here, Conor alone may be making $100 million for this. Now, I think the more interesting number to find out, to your question, is what the UFC is getting paid to loan out Conor McGregor for the night. The reason I didn't think this fight was ever really going to happen was because I didn't think it made financial sense for the UFC. Why do this to their crown jewel right now, to put them in a situation where, albeit there may be completely reasonable explanations for what happens, to the casual observer, they may watch it and go, oh my gosh, these cage fighter guys don't have anything on the boxers. But at some point it started making financial sense to them. And let's also remember that the UFC has, at this point, still relatively new owners in the WME IMG group. These guys paid over $4 billion for the promotion, and they're looking to make a return on their investment sooner than later. I think they may have been lured into this by the prospect of, wow, one night we loan one of our guys out to freelance for a few hours, and we get this kind of cash return. That sounds like a pretty good deal to them.
Richard Hunter with us right now on 104.5 The Team. You can get his stuff, Phone Booth Fight Podcast with Frank Mir. Now, here's the question. $100 million to Conor McGregor. Do we ever see him in the octagon again where he's made $10 million in one fight?
Good question, because he won't, as long as he handles that money correctly, and there's always a caveat with that fighting, right. He wouldn't need to. Now, he is the reigning UFC lightweight champion. There are still some big fights and big paydays for him over in the UFC. Once he's a free agent, he could cash in all over again. Once he's played out his contract with the UFC, he could start promoting himself like Floyd Mayweather has done in the latter part of his boxing career. But he's going to have to get through that UFC contract first. So I think the question would be for Conor. Now, obviously, if he defeats Floyd, I think the answer is yes, one way or another, just because he continues to be so marketable. But maybe more so if he were to lose, does he say, well, am I going to go back to the UFC and fight for, like you said, maybe 10% of what I'm making in this boxing match? I think what that will come down to is whether or not Conor sees a future for him in fighting beyond the life of his UFC contract. Because once he gets out of that after another couple of fights, then he could be making this, maybe not this kind of money, but a whole lot more money than the UFC allows him to make all over again. So, yeah, I think that there's financial incentive for him to keep fighting.
You're out there in the city of Las Vegas, and you've seen big fights before, whether it be in boxing or the UFC. Is there any fight you could even compare what's soon to be Mayweather-McGregor 2 in the last few years?
I mean, maybe only, Mayweather-Pacquiao. That's the benchmark that everybody's got their eye on as far as can it eclipse that, and even if it can't eclipse it, can it come anywhere close? See, the thing about boxing is, I mean, the UFC, does at least one pay-per-view every month, and they generate millions upon millions of dollars doing it. Conor McGregor alone is the king when it comes to UFC pay-per-view sales. However, boxing comes along sporadically and does it way bigger. They can't do it every month. They can't even sometimes do it more than a couple of times a year. But they come along with names like Floyd Mayweather, like Canelo Alvarez, and they outdo the UFC in one-night pay-per-view sales. So in that sense, no, there's not a bigger fight out there to be had, and that's why you're seeing this come together the way that it has. I think the big question in terms of, well, first of all, leading up to where Conor McGregor is going to, the portion of this that he is going to win going away is going to be in the build-up to the fight.
Yeah.
Floyd Mayweather is no match for the trash-talking ability and the rapier wit of Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor is going to mop the floor with Floyd in the build-up to this fight. Now, what happens inside the ring on the night of the fight, it may be a different story. However, I think the question, guys, is this. If Floyd, let's say, doesn't knock Conor McGregor out, if he doesn't stop this fight early, if he, in fact, wins a unanimous yet somewhat lackluster and uncompetitive 12-round decision, is that really a victory that he can hang his hat on? This is going to be the fight that breaks Rocky Marciano's 50-0 or 49-0 all-time undefeated record. Floyd tied it before he retired. 50-0 would give him one better than Rocky Marciano. And the problem here, guys, is despite the fact if he can do it, he defeats a guy that has zero professional boxing experience, you're going to see Floyd Mayweather celebrate breaking that record like he knocked out Sugar Ray Robinson to do it.
Richard Hunter with us right now, 104.5 The Team. So I guess the only question I have left is, so the UFC, John Bones Jones, we don't know what we're going to get from him. Conor McGregor, he's boxing for, $100 million. Ronda Rousey looks like she's out, who knows what we'll see if she ever does come back. Is there anybody on the periphery that you see that could be the next big star for the UFC?
Not right now. Right now, it's nobody is even a distant second to Conor. Now, quick note on John Jones. He is booked for a return. His suspension will end around the beginning of July, and his rematch is official against Daniel Cormier for the light heavyweight title that he was stripped of. That's going to happen in Anaheim at the end of July. But that being said, John Jones was never the pay-per-view draw that Conor McGregor or even Ronda Rousey was. So I would say the next closest thing in terms of what the UFC might have as a possibility for that is the eventual return of George St. Pierre. And I say eventual because he was set to come out of retirement and face Michael Bisping for the middleweight title. We thought originally it would happen next month. That's been delayed kind of indefinitely. So St. Pierre now says he will likely return toward the end of the year. That being said, he's still not going to sell anywhere near the number of pay-per-views that Conor McGregor does. Listen, the UFC was doing very well before Conor McGregor, so it's not like this is going to be the difference of them being able to keep the lights on or not. But if they want to continue to hit those Conor McGregor-like marks, then until further notice, I'd say the only way to for sure do that is to get Conor McGregor back in the UFC octagon.
Richard Hunter, Phone Booth Fight Podcast. We appreciate your time, sir.
Anytime. Always good to talk to you guys.